Speak Like an English Native Speaker is a comprehensive guide to the idioms and expressions that are commonly used in the English language. This book provides readers with a wealth of knowledge about the meanings and origins of idiomatic expressions, which are an important part of everyday communication in the UK. The book is divided into sections that cover different topics, such as animals, food and drink, sports and games, and emotions. Each section contains a large number of idioms that are arranged in alphabetical order for easy reference. The authors provide a clear explanation of the meaning of each idiom, as well as examples of how the idiom is used in context. In addition to the idioms themselves, the book also includes information about their origins and history. The authors provide interesting and informative background information about the idioms, which helps readers to understand their meaning and use. Speak Like an English Native Speaker is an excellent resource for anyone who is interested in improving their understanding of the English language. It is particularly useful for students who are learning English as a second language, as well as for native English speakers who want to expand their vocabulary and improve their communication skills. Speak Like an English Native Speaker is a well-written and comprehensive guide to the idiomatic expressions that are commonly used in the UK. It is an essential resource for anyone who wants to improve their understanding of the English language and communicate more effectively in everyday situations. All fur coat and no knickers, someone who looks impressive or glamorous but lacks substance. Origin: all fur coat and no knickers likely comes from the idea of someone wearing a fur coat, which looks expensive and impressive, but not wearing any underwear, suggesting a lack of substance or depth. Example: she may seem impressive, but she's all fur coat and no knickers when it comes to her work. Baggy, loose-fitting. Origin: baggy comes from the Old Norse word baggi, meaning bag. Example: I prefer wearing baggy clothes when I'm lounging at home. Carrots, slang term for red hair. Origin: carrots likely comes from the idea of carrots being a similar color to red hair. Example: look at that guy over there with the carrots, he really stands out. Daft, silly or foolish. Origin: daft comes from the Middle English word daft, meaning meek or mild. Example: don't be daft, it's too cold to go swimming. Earwig, to eavesdrop on a conversation. Origin: earwig likely comes from the idea of an earwig, a type of insect that can burrow into someone's ear and cause discomfort. Example: I couldn't help but earwig on their conversation, it sounded interesting. Fag, slang term for cigarette. Origin: fag comes from the Old French word faggot, meaning bundle of sticks. Example: can I bum a fag off you? Grotty, unpleasant or dirty. Origin: grotty likely comes from the word grotesque, meaning distorted or unnatural in shape or appearance. Example: this hotel is a bit grotty, I wouldn't recommend staying here. Hank Marvin, slang term for being hungry. Origin: Hank Marvin comes from the rhyming slang phrase Hank Marvin's starving, meaning I'm starving. Example: I haven't eaten all day, I'm Hank Marvin. Jolly, slightly drunk. Origin: jolly likely comes from the idea of feeling happy and merry after having a few drinks. Example: we got a bit jolly after a few glasses of wine. Kip, a nap or sleep. Origin: kip likely comes from the Old Norse word kippa, meaning to snatch or to seize. Example: I'm going to take a quick kip before we head out again. Legless, very drunk. Origin: legless likely comes from the idea of someone being so drunk they can't stand up or walk properly. Example: he was completely legless at the pub last night. Muggle, a non-magical person. Origin: muggle likely comes from the word mug, meaning fool or gullible person. Example: in the Harry Potter books, Harry is a wizard and his uncle Vernon is a muggle. Nosh up, a large or enjoyable meal. Origin: nosh up likely comes from the Yiddish word nashen, meaning to snack or to nibble. Example: that was a great nosh up, I'm stuffed. On the pull, trying to pick up someone for a romantic or sexual encounter. Origin, on the pull likely comes from the idea of pulling someone towards you. Example, he's been on the pull all night, but he hasn't had any luck yet. Plonk, cheap or low-quality wine. Origin, plonk likely comes from the French word blanc, meaning white. Example, I don't fancy drinking any of that cheap plonk. Quid, slang term for £1. Origin, quid likely comes from the Latin phrase quid pro quo, meaning something for something. Example, can you lend me a few quid until payday? Roger, slang term for sexual intercourse. Origin, Roger likely comes from the French name Roger, which was used as a euphemism for sexual intercourse during World War II. Example, I heard they went off to have a bit of rogering in the bedroom. Shirty, irritable or bad-tempered. Origin, shirty likely comes from the word shirt, meaning clothing or garment. Example, he's in a bit of a shirty mood today, best to leave him alone. Tatty, shabby or worn out. Origin, tatty likely comes from the word tat, meaning rubbish or trash. Example, I need to buy a new jacket, this one is looking a bit tatty. Up the duff, pregnant. Origin, up the duff likely comes from the word duff, meaning useless or broken. Example, she just found out she's up the duff, she's going to have a baby. Waffle, to talk nonsense. Origin, waffle likely comes from the idea of waffling or talking aimlessly. Example, stop waffling and get to the point already. X marks the spot, the place where something important is located. Origin, X marks the spot likely comes from the idea of a treasure map, with an X marking the location of buried treasure. Example, we need to find the X marks the spot on this map to find the buried treasure. Yonks, a long time. Origin, yonks likely comes from the Romani word janus, meaning many. Example, I haven't seen him in yonks, it must be at least 10 years. Zoom years, a burst of high-energy activity, often seen in dogs. Origin, zoom years likely comes from the idea of something moving very quickly and zooming around. Example, after a long nap, my dog always gets the zoom years and runs around the house like crazy.